Welcome to Prescribing Growth. This is the video series where we talk to some incredible people in auto reconditioning about what it takes to grow a successful business. We hear from people who've been there, who've done that, who've seen it all. My name is Matt McAllister. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Mobile Tech RX. This episode I'm super excited about. It's a bit unique. Our guest today is Bob Phillips, President of P&S Detailing Supplies.
Yep, yeah.
He's joined us. We're hanging out at Mobile Tech Expo. He was grateful enough to come sit down with us to hear the story of not only his business, but his perspective of the industry as a whole. So appreciate you coming.
Thank you, Matt. Yeah, no, it's a pleasure to be here. Mobile Tech 2020, hard to believe.
I know. It's hard to believe
this is the 20th year. I know I haven't been here 20 years, but still, 20th year of Mobile Tech. Yeah, pretty cool.
So Bob, the story of P&S is one that I've recently heard about.
Yeah.
But it's a fascinating one. I'm curious for your perspective. Obviously, tell us a little bit about the story, but seeing a business go from non-existent to growth to taking it over to where it is today, how has that race been like over the last, 50 years?
Next year, 60 years in business, yeah. And for me, I was that, not troubled kid, but I think my parents were glad I survived high school. And my dad was like, hey, what are you going to do? So I went to work for my dad. And I had no idea it would turn into this. But I was an energetic young guy that had, friendship making skills, right? So I could make a lot of friends and connect with people. And, this industry has been great for me. And, especially the last 5 years, the International Detail Association, that's exploded. So all those things have influenced us. Social media has given us great tools.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's huge.
Tell us a little bit about where P&S sits today. What does the world of P&S look like?
Companies go through many phases of reinventing themselves, and we've just, I don't want to say completed, because I don't think you ever completely reinvent yourself. You're constantly reinventing yourself. But no, we've kind of completed a process over the last 4 years, creating kind of a boutique automotive brand, a niche brand that gave us a marketing tool, because we're a legacy company. We manufacture over 130 different products, which you don't need 130 different products to detail a car. So we had to create kind of a sexy brand, and we noticed that, we were kind of outside that circle, right? We weren't in that club. And so I met a good friend of mine, Rennie Doyle, who's our spokesperson. We created a brand called Double Black. And, our vision was it was going to be a prosumer enthusiast brand. And it's been really successful. And we're still just getting started. That's a term we always use. You're just getting started. So we still got a long ways to go, but the company has experienced over the last 3 years its biggest growth phase ever.
How long have you been in the role as president?
Almost longer than I can remember, but I'm not sure when I first took over the job, I was really, I was up to the task.
Yeah.
My dad awarded me that task. So about 30 years.
30 years.
And I think I've really been doing my job the last 6.
I am so fascinated to hear more about that. I mean, what did the previous 24 years look like?
Yeah, I was caught in the weeds. I was working in my business, not on the business. And, we were working hard. We were a successful manufacturer. We made product. There's really nothing wrong with our company. It wasn't until, I met Rennie and I started socializing with Rennie, and I started really broadening my scope and allowing people inside my business to kind of analyze where we were successful and where we were failing. And it was when a detailer walked up to me and he says, "What's the name of your company?" And I said, "P&S Sales." He goes, "What do you sell?" And I'm like, "Oh, we sell detailing chemicals." He goes, "Oh, you do?" And then my dad, who's now since passed away, who was inducted into the International Detailing Hall of Fame last night, which is pretty cool. I'm like, wow, I'm really letting him down. Nobody knows who we are. So that really kind of fired me up to start paying attention to things and really, I guess, start doing my job. Even though I was doing my job, I needed to use the tools that I had available to me and just start using them and grow our business.
We talk a lot about perspective in this series. It's something that I probably mention at least once, if not 10 times in each episode. And your story is interesting because you've spent such a long time with this organization.
Right.
And not as a hired hand. I mean, this was a family business.
Yeah.
to have a change of perspective or to be able to be woken up from something after being involved in something for as long as you have been is rare. In many cases, it never happens.
Right.
What was that shift other than the comment?
It was the comment. My brother and I, one day, he's my business partner, we looked at each other and said, we really got to step up our game. And we knew better. I guess we were comfortable. And so we really, we started just paying attention to our product offering and it was allowing people into our business to tell us where we were failing and where we were succeeding. We were doing many things right, obviously, because a company that's 60 years old doesn't fail at everything, right? So there's many things you do right. It was small tweaking and really, embracing change.
How do you vocalize momentum when momentum happens over small changes? So as for a company, for someone leading in a position where there are many people who have to be bought in to accomplishing something that may seem crazy,
right?
It's impossible to say overnight we're going to do this. And as you mentioned, it's usually 600 small changes you make.
Right. How
do you keep that momentum over that long period of time and over those small changes the top of mind with excitement high?
You got to be tenacious. You got to be, you got to persevere. You got to believe in what you're doing for sure. And know that it's going to be a long road. I think that the success that we found is when our own team, our manufacturing team, the people that work in our office, and they started to believe. They saw what we were doing. And then change gets easier because now they buy in, right? Once you get your team to buy in, that's the time then you step on the throttle again and you ramp it up and you keep going.
So for the last 6 years up to this point, what has that growth looked like for P&S? Is that increased customers? Is that a much larger team? What has been the result of that shift in mindset over the last 6 years?
Increase in customers, increase in distribution lines, methods to market, how we bring our product to market. We were a traditional company that sold through what they call them wagon jobbers, or guys that sell stuff off trucks, and we still are. It's still 75% of our business probably. So we sell to guys that sell to car dealerships, car washes, body shops. That's still our primary core business, and that was a great foundation. But we needed to embrace the new way. Amazon, right? AutoGeek, Detailing.com, Detailed Image, all these entities that supply online.
Direct-to-consumer trends.
Direct-to-consumer, and the prosumer in our business actually has more money. I mean, the car dealer's a great customer, but boy, they're worried about every dollar. The guy that's got the cool garage, and he's got, a couple of cool cars in the garage, he goes, oh yeah, I need all that.
How did the marketing change as your audience changed?
Yeah, I mean, the marketing before was, on the street, right? We gained every customer by shaking a hand. Social media, Instagram, videos, content. We still don't have enough content. You can never have enough content. I mean,
that's why we're sitting right here.
Yeah, you can never have enough content, and all of a sudden, you create an army of friends and allies that create content for you in the industry. There's one thing that's very unique about the detailing industry. When a contractor builds your house and the painter paints your house, have you ever seen a painter stand in front of the house and hold up the can of paint and go, this is what I painted your house with? Never, right? Never.
No, I haven't.
In the detailing industry, guy details your car, he holds up your product, goes, check out what did this. You engage those people and you treat them with the respect that they deserve. They're your best advertiser.
So companies are often driven by what happens in the environment they're in. And the detailing industry has changed itself quite a bit in the last decade.
Oh my God. Last 6 years, biggest change ever.
What changed and how did that interact with what you were changing at P&S?
Well, we were lucky to be involved in that rapid change. There was, we were just talking about it in our booth, as a matter of fact, on a podcast. There's a tool called Rupes. It's an Italian tool, right? They came to they changed the way we looked at paint correction. And then other tool manufacturers learned from them and they created better tools. And then Facebook allowed detailers to show product, and so it gave us a bigger audience, and we all had to change and be more professional. Coatings, paint protection film, those dollars were never available to detailers as short as 8 years ago. I mean, the fact that you could walk into a detail shop and there was a bill over $1,000 10 years ago, never happened. Never happened. Now, guy wants paint, PPF on his car. That's a big ticket.
Is that because of product creation, because of technology innovation?
Coatings played a huge role in that because the customer was always looking for the holy grail of protection, and back 20 years ago, we would say, a customer comes, you have something that lasts 5 years? And we go, no.
You could bubble wrap it.
Yeah, but it was still marketed.
Yeah.
Customers still believed it. They always wanted to believe it, but now coatings allowed companies to deliver on that promise, and then the time they spend. So they'll correct the car. They spend a lot more time. The economy being strong, all those things, they all played a huge role in that.
So you're the president of a company that sells products to
Yep.
detailing, but you're also a detailer.
Yeah.
Was that your start in the world? Was that something you picked up along the way? How did you get started there?
Well, obviously, when I was in high school, my dad was selling detailing chemicals. It was, an obvious solution for me to get a wagon and put some product in the wagon and go around solicit work in the neighborhood. So that's literally what I did. I just started washing cars. I don't know if you call it detailing then. Pretty much just washing cars and vacuuming. But, and then I always had a passion for delivering a clean car. I mean, to me, it's about that customer experience. I think you really talk to, if you're a detailer, you better love detailing because it's work. It really is. And, when you deliver a beautiful car to a customer, they're amazed.
So started as a teenager detailing cars.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, your dad was running this company. It was something
Mm-hmm.
that was a part of your life from an early age. Was it always in the plan to take over the company at some point?
I don't think it was in the plan, but I think that's where I was headed. I really admired my dad, and so going to work for him was an honor. So, we just, as a family, we loved working together, and it was great. And he created a great culture. He had good employees, and we've carried on that same tradition. So, it's still something we value today.
I think we're all looking for a purpose in something we do.
Yeah.
And there's not much greater purpose than to extend the legacy of somebody you love.
No, and I don't think I realized it at the time, but obviously I realize it now. So, you look back, when you lose someone, and he teaches you how to treat people well and how to run a business, solid business principles. The company is now going to coming up celebrate its 60th year. I mean, it's
pretty cool.
Where do you see his fingerprints on the business today?
Oh, obviously my brother and I think our character. He taught us how to work in a business as a family, always get along, sure. We have our disagreements, but not very often. And then to also have a great downtime. Just work hard, but reward yourself with a quality lifestyle. And that's really what it's about. And so, coming to work is not a bad thing. People go, oh, I hate going to work. I don't hate going to work. I love going to work. I basically work with my brother and the people that work for us, and they've got a good team.
So you're deeply connected to the detailing industry. I mean, as you mentioned, a big shift happened when you connected with people like Rennie and could get more hands-on with detailers whose entire goal is to grow their business.
Yeah.
In the same time you were growing your business. Where do you see those correlations between you growing P&S and a detailer with one shop or with a mobile van trying to grow his business? What were some lessons that you picked up along the way that you think could impact that detailer just trying to get started?
Well, what I feel that I bring to the table is the knowledge of working with products and chemicals and really helping detailers become more efficient. By nature, it tends to be very inefficient. It's like cleaning your garage. You go in to clean your garage, you look at your garage, you go, where do you start? And you start pulling things, and it's like not organized. And detailing a car, it can be the same way. They go, where do I start? There's a systematic process that should happen. There's systematic chemicals to use, all of that. They can maximize their efficiency, right? There's a lot of things they can do. Less is better. Sometimes detailers now, they over detail. It's the biggest problem in the industry. They get so enamored with making the car look great, but the customer doesn't care if it's 99% perfect. They want it 80%.
Do you feel like the education in the industry has shifted over the last 3 to 5 years? I mean, where are detailers now getting educated on things like chemicals or being more efficient?
Wow. So education on detailing has grown immensely over the last 5 to 10 years. There's so many resources now. Rennie Doyle, he was obviously an early educator. He's a great educator of detailers on business and technique. But now there's so many places that they can go. Obviously online, YouTube. There's a lot of great information out there. I think detailers in the industry joke about YouTube certified, but I'll tell you what, there's some good detailers out there that do some nice demos.
And how much of that is centered around things like financials, marketing, pricing, sales?
Not as much as it should be. I think they do share, typically the detailer that enters the market, he enters the market underpriced. He doesn't value his time enough. A detailer should be making, when you're running a detailing business, your goal should be $100 an hour. If you're not making $100 an hour, you're really not being successful. Detailers usually get into this business as if they're mobile, as a mobile car washer. Well, you can't wash enough cars to make a living.
So how do you see that in the future? How do you see detailers getting that business education, if you will?
Business education is huge. I know Rennie, he's doing specific business education courses. We talk to detailers a lot about business. They don't understand financials. A lot of times if they have money in the bank, then, they made money, and you're like, well, not really. They don't take it all into account. So, the IDA is doing a lot. There's podcasts, webinars on business education. They focused more on business education this year than they ever have before, but there's a long way to go. There's a long way to go, for sure.
The detailing industry, at least the people who show up to things like MT, is built a very strong community. Mm-hmm. More than most industries that I've seen as an outsider, where there is sharing of information, sharing of best practices, in which a lot of other industries might like to keep close to their vest.
Right.
Is that a new phenomenon? Is that something that's changed?
It has definitely changed.
What do you think is the root cause of that?
Well, if you look back, the car wash industry was really ahead of the detailing industry in terms of owners of car washes that were not in competition would share, the benchmarks of their businesses. What's your cost per car? How many cars you're washing? What's your break-even point? All these things. How many people do you have, drying? What's your flow? What's your length of tunnel? All those things. They shared all that. Detailers were secretive. They never wanted to share the secret sauce. And I remember back in the day, detailers they'd buy our product or McGuire's product or whatever product they were using, and it was like hidden because they didn't want to share. But what's happened is detailers have now learned that by sharing, not everybody's a competitor. There's a lot of cars out there. There's a lot of cars to clean. So they've learned that by sharing all that information, it helps them become more professional.
Yeah.
How do you see detailers embracing the nature of demand in the industry, which is that not everyone needs their car detailed. Mm-hmm. A lot of people want it, but not everyone needs it. How do you capitalize on the right audience and find the people who are willing to not only get their car detailed, but for the price that your value is worth?
Yeah. They're a detailer, they're cultivating their customer, if you will. They're initially when they start, it's like anybody new in business, you'll take any business you can get just to make a buck. And then as they're doing it, as their business matures, well, that's not my customer, and that's okay. Quality detail operations, there's that education process that gets them to that point where they get to the sweet spot of, profitability, if you will.
That's also the benefit of an industry bought in for that.
Yeah.
Because you could see the result in a small market fairly quickly. Excuse me. If competitors as a whole say our work is worth a certain value,
Yes.
and why would we? Because why would any business accept less value than what our work is worth?
Right.
That market as a whole sees an increase in
Right.
production and in the value that they're able to achieve for what they do.
Yeah.
We're starting to see that in small pockets around the country.
Yep.
I think the next big trend I'm interested in viewing across the detailing industry is how does the entire industry approach a brave methodology that says, this is our value, here's the line, and below it is not our customer.
Right.
And that's scary.
It is scary, and there's always a groundswell. The path to entry in the detailing business is it's very affordable. A bucket and a washman and a little soap, you're a detailer, or could be perceived as a detailer. So there's always that, keeping that value down. But detailing now, let's face it, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, did anybody know what detailing was, that name? I know when I started in this business, people would go, what do you do? Like, well, we make stuff to clean cars. Because I didn't even say, because nobody knew. Now I go, oh yeah, we make professional detailing products. They're like, oh wow, that's unique. 5, 10 years ago, they didn't even know what that was, because that term wasn't used. As a matter of fact, at SEMA, the largest automotive show that we had mentioned earlier, there's no checkbox for detailer. When you register for SEMA, and they go, what's your profession? There is no checkbox for detailer, which to me is insane, because we've all been to SEMA. There's a lot of detailers at SEMA, and that needs to change.
And so it needs to be more recognized as a profession.
Why do you think it isn't?
I think it's getting there. I just think that detailing has been car washing, and so that needs to change, and it is changing.
What excites you most about the future of the industry?
Oh, I just think the fresh perspective that everybody has on the industry, the excitement from detailers, the engagement, the connection, the availability to be profitable in the detailing industry, I think is the most exciting part.
And what do you recommend for the ambitious detailer out there who is trying as hard as they can to take these steps towards growth in their business? What should they be doing?
Take advice from others that have been successful. Surround yourself with people that have like values, and get a mentor to help you guide you in your business.
So for your business, for P&S, if we, with all the experience and knowledge that you have today, dropped you back 30 years ago, is there anything you would have done differently?
Boy, the easy answer is say, oh no, sure, I wouldn't have done anything differently. No, I'd absolutely do stuff differently. I would have been more engaged in my business early on. We were a little complacent. We were always well liked. We were always respected, but I should have got involved earlier. When the IDA happened, the IDA was formed. There was many associations prior to that, and I was always usually involved in one of them. And then I kind of just got out. And then 11 years ago, when the IDA was formed, they asked, hey, do you want to be involved? And I said, yeah, I think it's about time I get back involved in the industry and get connected. I should have stayed connected earlier and been more active.
Well, Bob, we appreciate you taking the time. Your story is a remarkable one. And I think the work that you're doing, not just at your own company, but to support an entire industry, is one that is tough and is one that is needed. And as a company who's just barely even dipping our toes into trying to eventually do the same, has helped the industry grow. P&S is a company that we look up to. And as the president, we're grateful not only that you sat down with us today, but that you're doing great work over there. So thank you.
Back to you guys. I can't wait to. I saw some of your technology this weekend. It's fantastic, and you're gonna help the detailers be successful for sure.
We're trying.
Yeah, Bob. Thanks, man.
Yeah, you're good.